What's going on, my fellow Jedi and Padawans? Welcome back to another Jedi gaming video. Thank you guys so much for coming back to the channel, and if you guys are new, welcome. In today's video, we're going to take you guys through a Stoicism Prismatic Titan build with the armor perks on this exotic class item, a Spirit of Contact with Spirit of Assassins. So the combination of finishers, melee blows make us invisible, with a bunch of Jolt lightning strikes coming off of those enemies from those powered melee hits, not even defeats, causes us to be able to create chaos inside of that endgame content. Went through a GM with ease, with randos and no mic, showing you how easy it is. We can stun every single champion with just our abilities. With our melee, gets 2 of them alone, and then we can do the rest with our grenade. So it is a beautiful little combination for us to get Radiant as well as Arc Jolt. We're getting that ignitions as well as freezing targets. So let's get into it with the perks, like I said, on our Stoicism. So first off, we have the Spirit of the Assassin. Like I said, finishers, powered melee final blows grant us that invisibility. So it is very good for that end game content. You can get that invisibility very often with this build, because with the combination of that consecration and those 3-strand melees, we're able to get a bunch of those powered melee defeats, plus finishers on some of those champions in endgames is super clutch and key. Then you can go revive your teammates, get ammo, whatever you need. The second intrinsic trait that we have on this is Spirit of Contact. Damaging targets with a powered melee causes all nearby targets to suffer lightning strikes and become jolted. So we're damaging targets as well as jolting them. This worked so nice inside of the Warden of Nothing GM, because just with one melee we're able to jolt as well as cause that scorch and ignitions on target. So unstoppable, as well as overloads we were stunning easily with just our melee. As for our abilities, aspects, and fragments, we are using that Twilight Arsenal right here for that weakening. It is pretty good with damage as well, throwing those 3 axes, but we can keep that weakening up for an extended period of time. So our artifact mod that we have on with that Expanding Abyss can stay up for a longer time as well. As for the abilities, I went with Towering Barricade, our Strafe Lift. Then we went with Frenzy Blade, so we could have 3 of these. One, because we can sever targets with it as well, but we are using it for that consecration aspect, so we can get those ignition scorch like I was saying before, and we're gonna have 3 of them with this combination. On top of that, I played heavy into the freeze side of the glacial grenades with the diamond lance, plus with the fragments that we have on, we're able to create even bigger explosions from the freezes on this with the stasis crystals, as well as the frozen targets that we get from throwing the diamond lances. That right there is the Facet of Ruin, so all that shatter from the frozen stasis crystals or those targets have a bigger AoE, as well as our solar ignition. So we're getting those ignitions, like I said, from consecration and the jolting as well, because of that nice contact that we have on our exotic class item. Facet of Protection. While surrounded by combatants, you are resistant to that incoming damage. While Transcendent, this is more effective. Plus with this build, we are getting Transcendent very quickly, because we are using a bunch of darkness abilities with those strand tangles with our melee ability, and then the consecration mixed with Jolt gives us a bunch of arc sides, so we're getting Transcendent very quickly. We're using Facet of Blessing as well, so melee final blows to start that health regen for us, while Transcendent melee final blows health regen not only us but other guardians as well. So very good perk to pair with this. Just a little positive feedback loop to help us even further with the health regen and that end game content. Facet of Balance. Defeating targets with light damage grants us melee, with dark damage grants us grenade. So a little positive feedback loop internally to help us to get back our grenade and melee a little bit faster. Right here we have the Facet of Devotion. Defeating targets affected by stasis or strand debuffs grants us that light transcendent energy. So Sever that we're getting right here, as well as the slow and freeze that we get from Diamond Lance and our grenade, help us to get even more of that light transcendent energy. Last but not least, Facet of Honor right here. Collecting elemental pickups or destroying tangles grants transcendent energy of the same type. So we're going to get those void breaches, we're going to get stasis shards, as well as tangles pretty much everywhere with this build, because of what we're using on our mods as well as our weapons. So those mods that I was talking about are as followed. We got our Harmonic Siphon with Strand Siphon, so all of our weapons that we're using are going to create orbs of power for us, as well as heavy-handed to create even more of them. On top of that, we're going to be using hands-on so we can get back our super even quicker, because we are going to be getting our abilities back very quickly, plus we're using our melee super often with that Jolt and Consecration, so this is going to proc, giving us our swords, giving us our axes, I should say, even more often. Impact Induction, Momentum Transfer, just giving us that positive feedback loop by doing damage with our melee and our grenade to give those back with each other as well. For the GM I went into, this is the burns that I was going up most, I felt like, but totally up to you on your chest piece. You can really throw on any type of these burns that you need to. Go a triple arc if you want to, go with some stasis depending on the content. So chest piece, totally up to you in the content you are going into. For my legs and my class item, I went with that Void Weapon Surge for our heavy, so we can get a little bit more damage on that, as well as our pulse rifle that we're using, allowing us to have more damage, plus recuperation. With outreach, we are getting some of our class ability back with our help as well, so that'll pair perfectly with what we had on the one of our fragments that we had to get us back health on those melee final defeats. With powerful attraction, time dilation, we get all those orbs near us when we use our class ability. Time dilation lets us have that nice 12% right here for a little bit longer, allowing us to juice those enemies with our void weapons right here. Graviton Lance, definitely a GOAT this season, just in general is a GOAT, with the Cosmology Vorpal combination and with what we have here on our artifact, Expanding Abyss, that I will go over in a second. But Edge Transit as well is what I was using, or Hammerhead, totally depends on what you're going into. This can be used on that lower tier content with the Warden and nothing. You want to juice that final boss as fast as possible, so I went with the Edge Transit, Envious Bait and Switch, then the Call as well. So we got Unstoppables with this, we got Barriers with our Graviton, and then our abilities deal with all of those as well. Now last but not least, inside of the Hunter's Journal, like I said, Expanding Abyss, super important for those void sources, deal additional damage when the targets are weakened, so our super can allow this to happen very often, so we're getting that nice 35% damage buff as well. On top of that, when we pick up Orbs of Power, we are going to become Radiant on top of everything else that we have, so the Shield Crush is going to also come in handy, because we're going to have some overshield for melees. When we're Radiant, we're going to get that grenade back, so again, just allowing us to spam our Consecration and that melee, severing people, causing Scorch and Jolt with just that, freezing targets with those lances and grenades. Now for that endgame content, went with Counter Energy right here, so we got that little bit of stun on those champions, gives us grenade energy, or the least amount of energy that we have, depending on the 3 down there. Elemental Siphon as well, this will help us to create those void breaches that I was talking about. Threaded Blast, when we blow up those tangles that we are creating with our melee or with our call in itself, will have a bigger explosion, giving us a little bit of extra damage on those dealer choice weapons as well, with the Anti-Barrier Pulse and Unstoppable Sidearm going on last but not least, to just really round out this build, being able to stun all of those champions, like I said, through Unstoppable, Barrier, and Overload via our weapons, as well as our melee and grenade. We're getting Freeze, we're getting Slow, we're getting Ignitions, we're getting Jolt, as well as Sever, all from just our abilities on this. So it is a super fun build. I wasn't expecting it to be as much fun as it was, but the invisibility is super clutch in that end game content, so you can go get those reses, like I said, go get yourself some more of that ammo that's laying around, whatever it may be. Plus we are basically absolutely spamming our melee with this, with the Jolt and Scorch. So on top of that, it's making us go invisible. Contact is proccing all the time, so the ad clear of it with the DPS side is absolutely nutty. Love the combination of this build. The prismatic side of this game is absolutely disgusting, especially with these class items here. So let me know if y'all have been able to get through that mission. If not, come let me know in the comments, join the Discord, post in there, ask for help. I would love to help you guys through that mission. Very fun little thing. Plus we can get some good rolls for you guys on top of that. So appreciate you guys again for coming back to the channel. Means a lot to me. Don't be afraid to like and subscribe to the video. Hit that bell if you haven't. Helps me out, helps out the channel. Plus you guys get the notifications for these kinds of things, like these builds, god roll guides, whatever that may be. So again, truly appreciate you guys. I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.